Hello, everyone. 2021-2022 team presentation. We are Camilo Becerra, Mariana Castillo, and Isabela Neiva.
As seen in this graph, in the past 10 years, college enrollment has begun to decrease. Questions arise regarding the reason. Could it be that higher education is no longer as valued by students?
To understand the importance of higher education, we focused on the following question. How do higher education institutions prepare students for the 21st century?
Higher education has become less of a way to become educated in a subject, but more of a way to signal competence to get a job. Questions arise. Is higher education declining in value? Cook and others, 2019. As mentioned previously, higher education is losing its interest. Cook and others argue that since college is the gateway to professional competence, the priorities of higher education institutions are shifting. Therefore, we researched to see how higher education institutions are fulfilling their purpose of preparation.
To do a complete research, we focused on this issue through three different lenses. Mariana focused on the economic lens, regarding knowledge and job opportunities. I worked on the social lens to research about skills developed by students enrolled in higher education institutions. And from a philosophical approach, Camilo explored the impact that higher education has on students' and how higher education institutions are fulfilling their designated roles in student preparation.
From an economic lens, it's very important to understand the graduate's lens and the country's lens. After graduating from a higher education institution, the graduates are able to find an easier job since they're more qualified, and in most of the cases, this means a higher income. For a country, higher education brings more qualified human capital, so workers are more prepared in any area. It also promotes job creation, and in many cases, it has shown to improve GDP.
As Aristotle stated, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Regarding the social lens, it is essential to highlight the importance of individual perspective, in which students develop abilities that go beyond the academic, such as emotional intelligence and algorithmic thinking, to face new challenges in our changing society. And also from a collective perspective, evaluating the effects that these changes may cause in local and global community to create a better society.
Finally, from a philosophical lens, the perspective of students and institutions are very important. Students' degrees have begun to lose their standout ability because they're becoming more widespread. Inclusion and accessibility is limited, and technology is not being fully integrated into education. The main reason for college enrollment has been merely professional, not driven by the want for knowledge. Institutions are also losing productivity and are not including sustainability effectively, and innovation is neither holistic nor responsible.
We're trying to prove that higher education institutions are declining in value because they're becoming obsolete in an ever and fast changing world. Higher education institutions must keep up with the present needs in modern society.
When looking for solutions, one of the first options that arose was teacher training. Definitely, there is a lack of teachers, which causes a barrier. Improving the quality of education is primarily a pedagogical problem, requiring the creation and implementation of the conditions that are necessary in the teaching and upbringing process of an institution. Also, usually the non-state institutions have better qualified teachers, but less qualified students. By training teachers to understand and meet modern demands, students this training teachers will be
And also, the option of a better implementation of technology could prove to be effective. Not only is it very efficient, but it also considers the changing world and is constantly avoiding obsolescence. Given recent advancements in technology, it seems to be valuable. Research, for example, that is done by Robert and others, display the potential of technology for an increased quality of education in the higher level.
So our final solution is to implement curricular revisions to consider how programs could be improved to acknowledge the changing world and the needs it demands to be fostered in students and institutions.
Some of the reasons we chose this start with value and reinstating value in higher education. By constantly being updated, higher education will always remain valuable because it will always be the gateway to be prepared for the future, which is the real reason why students attend higher education. And also, it considers the changing world. The constant replantation will also prove to acknowledge the modern world, which is ever changing and faster than before. Higher education will remain conscious of what is going on in the world.
Additionally, this approach helps us to look at the holistic development of students and overall human beings by developing abilities that go far beyond the academics. Last, as Anupama Purohit from the Indian Institute of Technology said, higher education needs to create a balance between local and global. At the research level of higher education, knowledge should be learned globally but implemented locally.
While studying our solutions, some possible implications came in. First, rigid mindset. Parents and families need to be open to new types of educations to go beyond stereotypes and tradition in order to adapt to the changes made in the curriculum. Trust was also an implication that came in. As a researcher from Northwestern University showed that education is focused on trust. It's very important for the students to trust their teachers in order to implement the new curriculum.
And a few other limitations that could prove to be worth considering before implementing this are resource development, first of all, which is that countries and communities will need a constant flow of quality resources, such as great thinkers, to be able to effectively update their curriculum. This would prove to be expensive, difficult to gather, and this would be especially difficult in developing countries where higher education is even more valuable and needed. And also, it is an inefficient solution, which is pretty self-explanatory. If there's a constant reconsideration of the curriculum, there'll be the constant need to regard the current world and review how to prepare students effectively, which requires resources, time, and a lot more.
After our research, we came to the conclusion that differentiation is necessary to offer quality education. Differentiation interacts with other dimensions of students' family and living situation, such as working during one's studies or the broader family structure. To finish up, change is necessary, and it should be accepted and encouraged. Therefore, we must work to assure that humanitarian values, civic knowledge, and sensitivity towards other life forms are infused in higher education institutions. We need to remain optimistic and work as a global community to create holistic individuals who will make a difference in our changing society. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Good job, guys. Okay, we're gonna move on now to the oral defense questions. Okay. All right, so the first question is for Camilo. Camilo, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem your group identified?
I would say, well, both of them really, but if I had to choose one, I'd say Isabela, because her research, basically Mariana's research was a lot more similar to mine. She discussed a lot about job opportunities and how education is related to producing, basically. And in my research, I also looked at that for a little while. So for greater understanding, Isabela's research discussed other topics like necessary skills and various things that higher education develops and should develop. And it also posed questions regarding how how aware it is of social problems and such as equality and all that stuff, which really made my understanding of the whole scope of the problem a lot better.
Okay, thank you very much. Mariana, here's your question. Describe how the content of the team presentation was changed as a result of group discussion.
Okay, so first of all, we changed our hook due to a discussion. We had another hook, which was a quote, but after discussing it, we decided to change our hook because like in our hook, we show more like how the higher education institutions are declining in enrollment. And in the other quote, we think we didn't approach so much the problem. And we also changed, well, our solution. We had to discuss a lot to decide which of the solutions we had was the best one. So we had to discuss which one addressed most of the issues that we found in our problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Finally, Isa, in what way did you improve your ability to work with the group as a result of this project?
Okay, so I felt that by doing this project, I really learned what really cooperative working is about because we really depended on each other and each of us had a completely different perspective on the whole issue. For example, Mariana talked about the job opportunities and I talked about social skills. So they were two completely different skills and we needed to discuss a lot to include all of the different perspectives in one complete solution that included everything.
Okay, thank you very much. Good job, guys.